Hello, hello, how's it going, guys? How's it going? We are trying to get... Oh, there we go. There we go, we got some of it. We got some. I just want some background sound, right? Background sound. Waiting for this to load properly. There we go, there we go. Some background sound while we're just chatting. How's it going, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. It is a good question. Monday, never seem to know the day before I start streaming. Probably a bad idea. Oh, well, it doesn't matter too much. Let's get in the top bit so you can see the little Atreides little logo sitting on top of that sign. Just slightly, just slightly. Today we're going to go through the Reddit AMA. So there was an AMA that released, and there's also some changes that actually got released. I have just made a video on YouTube today. That's why we're late. That's why we're very, very late indeed. To this stream is because we were trying to get out a video as soon as possible. Obviously, we were at work all day. They released it while I was working. I was like, typical. Finished work, started on the video, and then it's just been uploaded just now. So it is up now from about 10 p.m. onwards. But we're going to go over the actual, basically like the AMA stuff, right? So the stuff that they went through the other day and the questions they answered the other day as well. So we'll go live scene. So these are the official Dune Awakening launch AMA with Funcom development team. So we might as well go through these one by one. We might as well go through all the answered ones. This may take, I don't know how long this will take. I remember last time we did one, it took absolutely forever. I'm just scrolling down roughly to get a bit of an idea of how this is going to look for us. There's going to be a lot of reading, I reckon. A lot of reading. But, you know, oh my god. Oh no. There's going to be so many, isn't there? There's going to, well, I feel like I'm ballsed up here. There is a lot. There is a lot. Okay. Wow. Please tell me it ends. Okay, okay. That is a scroll. That is quite the scroll bar. You can't see it, but you can see on the screen at least. This is all the questions. So, we better start getting through them. Otherwise, we're never going to get through them. So, still need coolers. Wait, for what? For Dune? I'm tripping. I'm tripping. What is the QOL plans do you have in the pipeline? What are the PvE plans for the near future? I really can't see any way, but hello back, Dan. Hello. What? I'm confused. What's going on here? In Dune, I don't know if we need any coolers or not, actually. I'll have to double check. I'll have to double check. Give me 1 second, actually, guys. I'll literally wait a second, actually. Can we see? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let's go over here for now. Okay, perfect. That's fine. I was getting distracted by something else that was happening. Okay, so I'm not sure. Also, you can't see. I really can't see anyway. But hello. Hopefully you can see. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, we're going to mainly stick to the questions here and not answer too much stuff in chat. Otherwise, it's going to take us forever. So let's try and smash out some of these. So what QOL plans do you have in the pipeline? What are the PvE plans for the near future? We have an update in testing that contains a lot of QOL, so quality of life updates, which we're aiming to release in early July. When we get closer to it being publicly testable, we'll release the full patch notes. It contains too many changes for me to list here, but you'll be seeing it soon. That's good to know. Good to see. I'd be nice to see some more quality of life stuff. Like, I'm sure people are going to mention it, but just stuff like naming chests and stuff, basic stuff would be nice to see. For PvE plans for the future, each of our major updates will always contain new story content and new PvE content, which will release at the same time as our DLCs come out. Our goal is to have these released every 3 to 4 months. Wait, you guys are seeing a black screen? What? Can you actually not see the stream? Wait, what is going on? Can you not see anything? Wait, I'm tripping now. You can't see anything. How bizarre. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Wow, there is literally nothing on your screen. Okay, wow, you can only see my cam. That is great. Why is that happening? I have no idea. Let me just chuck this up to like really far up above. Can you see something? Well, we'll hold tight. We'll hold tight. Hopefully, you can see something now, or maybe not. No, I don't think you can. What is going on? It shows on my stream, and then when I actually go on YouTube, it doesn't show. That's so bizarre. I don't know why you can't see that. That is a very strange, peculiar thing. When you were like, I can't really see anywhere, but hello, I was like, what do you mean? But this is what you mean. Why is that being strange? It's literally on my stream as well. That's so bizarre. Okay, well, I guess we'll do display capture then. And hopefully this will work. Instead of that. Hopefully you can now see. Yes, you can now see. Or maybe you could see before that. I don't know. But you can see now, I think. You can see now. Anyway, so they were sending back QOL, quality of life plans, all the album pipeline. What are the PvE plans for the near future? They obviously said we've got some planned coming soon at some point. Yeah, blah, blah. For PvE plans in the future, each of our major updates will always contain new story content and new PvE content, which will release at the same time as our DLCs come out. Our goal is to have these released every 3 to 4 months. We are going to probably, not worth going through the replies because it's unlikely they're going to reply again. So we'll just kind of smash out each question as we go. Do you plan to add daily and weekly contracts for PvE / bracket solo players? Currently, we have the Landsrad to offer weekly content for players to engage with. We have read the feedback about some tasks are getting locked early, tasks being too hard for solo players, and feedback on the general rewards. We will make improvements to all these features to make sure that anyone that wants to engage with the Landsrad can and that they feel like the rewards are worth it. In addition, we'll be releasing more PvE content with each major update, and we'll have more dynamic encounters in the game that will offer a variety of new content for you to discover as you are exploring Arrakis. Okay, I mean, not really saying too much, just saying there's going to be more stuff at some point, but just, yeah, not really much mention of it. Once you do all the contracts in Hangar Basin, there aren't any more quests to do, and are there any plans on adding repeatable / new contracts every Coriolis storm? I always mess that bit up, and I'm getting slack in the YouTube video. Coriolis, whatever you want to call it, storm. Okay, I'm just going to call it a storm from now onwards. Or are we just supposed to do with not very engaging Landsrad tasks? Yes, there are plans to add new contracts across the board. In addition, the Landsrad itself is supposed to involve more contracts in order to reveal tasks for the houses, as well as contracts that lead into the deep desert. I do think that there needs to be... I think it'd be nice to see the replayability of quests. Even if they don't earn you anything but, XP. Let's say they remove the rewards that are there currently, because you've already got those rewards and they're one-time things, so they're not super OP. But if they add, just XP for doing it, I think it'd be good fun. It'd be something to do when you feel like you've kind of done everything else. Or at least, in my opinion, anyway, I think it'd be cool. Are you at least entertaining the idea / change to make Scout Ornithopters weaponless? And what are your goals regarding changes to PvP in the deep desert now that it's been in the player's hands for a short while? There are no plans to remove rockets from the Scout Ornithopter. We will make it so how you equip your Scout will affect its maneuverability, speed, etc., making the Assault Ornithopter the better choice when you want to engage in combat, but still keeping some offensive capabilities for the Scout, if that's how you choose to spec. I'm going to turn down the game audio so it's not super loud in your ears. I don't think it's too bad anyway, but I'm just going to turn it down a little bit anyway. You can see all my stuff now on there. Amazing. There you go. So, yeah, they did actually release this in the changes in the video that I just released out just literally a few minutes ago, where they said the maneuverability has been changed. So basically, if you put rockets on it, you're not going to move as fast. They're also going to overheat much quicker if you're firing rockets. Also, I think they did something with the thrusters. If you've got thrusters on your Ornithopter, it's much, much, much better for speed, for any wings you put on as well, which is kind of cool. As for PvP in the deep desert, we're currently formulating a plan considering we want players to make meaningful decisions about what they bring with them and how they outfit their vehicles. Once players have engaged in PvP, we want the experience to be reliable, responsive, and clearly understood. This determines how PvP as a whole feels and how players make their moment-to-moment decisions in a fight. Oh, moment to moment, not movement to moment. To ensure a more reliable experience in ground combat, we are continuing to address issues with movement, desyncs, and rubber banding, as well as ability activation and reliability. That's great because I definitely think that's a massive thing. The movement desyncs and rubber banding seems like it's the biggest problem, or at least for me right now, it's such a big problem. I'm always having those issues when playing the game. Will we be looking at a change so we can name our storage containers? Oh my god. Please, my sanity. Exactly. I feel the exact same way, and I'm not surprised to see this. Definitely. This is on the list of changes we want to make to improve base/resource management. I can't commit to exactly when this is coming, but we understand the difficulty in managing huge bases with tons of storage containers. When they said quality of life stuff when they're making the game and they had streamers playing it, I am so surprised this did not come up to things being like, just name the containers. How is that not a thing? I don't know, but we'll get to it at some point, which is great to see. You know, if they just ignored that, I would be very sad. Have they actually responded to this one? Yeah, they have. Okay. Are there any plans to implement something like faction-based warfare in the Deep Desert with a war map and such? PvP in Deep Desert is a big issue at the moment as it's almost entirely aircraft-based free-for-all. I do not mind having aircraft being able to fight, but would like to see something to encourage more ground combat to make us all... to make use of all the skills and gear we have for such things. The Deep Desert will always stay a PvP free-for-all area, but we might consider adding other locations that offer other factional warfare. Fair enough. Oh, they're just responding to their thing. That's okay. They're also responding. Oh, we're in the responding area now. Okay, can we get a Deep Desert zone for only on-foot combat? Feels like an just air combat at the moment, creating a mode where only bikes and buggies are allowed. Also, can we get more dungeons within the Deep Desert with a variety of bosses and targeted loot farm systems where players can select loot they want to drop? What do they say? No, this is not the plan. However, a lot of our adjustments and balancing are going to drive combat towards the core vision, which is people competing over points of interest in the Deep Desert. The current balance between vehicles and on foot is not tuned to our liking, and there are multiple changes in the pipeline to address this, above and beyond bugs we will fix. Again, mentioned in the upcoming changes video I just released as well. Some of that stuff's in there. We will continue to add dungeons, but will not add targeted loot systems, as the entire point of the Deep Desert is the randomization and re-explorations loop, and this would work entirely against that. Fair pay, fair comment. I'm playing mostly solo and I don't dare go to the Deep Desert because we only get bullied by guilds. How can we solo players advance the late game without having to join a guild? I can answer this without literally reading this, because with the upcoming changes, they have said they're making a PvE area in the Deep Desert. So pretty big change, to be fair. A PvE area in the Deep Desert. Pretty crazy. Yes, we plan to add the option to replace one piece with another without having to destroy it first. Wait, what? I might look at the wrong question. I am. Well, that's fine. Okay, we've answered that technically anyway. It's been answered in the upcoming patch notes by ourselves. Are there any plans to make building easier, like being able to replace one floor for another without having to move everything or destroy the current floor? Amazing. That's such a good thing. I'd love that. I know it's something that was done in Conan Exiles, and it would be great to see it here too. Yes, we're planning to add the option to replace one piece with another without having to destroy it first. Great. I'm so glad. Will we ever be able to stack storage boxes? There are ways to do this already, using half walls to create shelves. We are continuously looking to ways to improve quality of life, and stacking storage boxes is on that list. Okay, good to know, good to know. A lot of PvE players feel disheartened by the current setup for endgame play, as PvP is basically forced on anyone wanting to advance in the game. Are there any considerations to adjust for this? Perhaps make resources available? Okay, yeah, that's in a PvE area. We're going to skip past that. Doesn't need to be answered because we've answered it. Oh my god, there is so much here. I think they've probably gone through it in their questions. They have, yeah. Okay, what are the plans to improve PvP? We have a lot of plans to address your point about respawn times and revives. Full loot is a decree that can be obtained via the Landsrad, so compete there if you want to make it reality. There are control points in the Deep Desert already. We have no plans to reduce the Deep Desert size. As you work on the game, we will continue to work on making PvP more rewarding. I'm sure you will note I am being very concrete, but that is because we are planning and watching how people are playing and finding the right points to address. Can we consolidate sietches and servers to see people more frequently for PvE and PvP encounters? We will do this when we feel it's necessary. Can the in-game notifications have the time associated with player or the server time zone instead of UTC? Yes, this is being improved. Great, because I hate seeing it saying UTC every single time. It's a pain in the ass. When are you going to fix the classes quest? We're making multiple improvements, worth noting that a majority of people have zero issues completing them, but we have a few reporting issues. Can we have a deposit all and extract all button for water storages and other items? We are working on it. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Can we increase the party size or remove friendly fire between guildmates? I knew they were going to say no as soon as I read this one out. No, this is the party size we have chosen for the game, and our encounters in PvE are balanced towards this. Changing it is not in the plans. We also expect guilds to coordinate and work together FF is there to ensure that they do. Friendly fire, maybe? Yes, friendly fire, yeah. Because I've got it turned off in the deep desert. Can the map filters be more granular and persistent? We'll look into this. That'd be nice because the map filters just come off as soon as you come off the map. I think that'd be nice to have an option for it stays on it or it doesn't stay on. Can the radar top HUD be made dynamic as well? No, this is not planned and is very expensive to implement and change. Can we make it easier to distinguish between players and NPCs, especially in PvP areas? No, this is in line with a version of the game. Can we have an option to skip all dialogue and animations? Wow, he's really trying to speedrun this game. Absolutely not. It's clear from your questions that you value efficiency above all else, but the vision of the game is to value Dune above all else, so no. Can we remove that mini-map game between worlds? Nope, this is also in line with the version for the game. Fair. Can you make the map feature be able to toggle the map across the worlds and see party, or just toggle between worlds instead of restricting the map only to the player location? No, we have no plans to implement this. It would add a lot of server overhead and is absolutely not worth it. Yeah. Understandable. Will you be looking at a change that allows us to take a corpse from the storage box and place it directly into death still? At the moment, it is not possible. However, I would be happy if you limited it to the proximity of the death still, as we tend to have a storage container full of corpses right next to the death stills. My friend, the intentionality of lifting a corpse and placing it in the sacred machine known as the death still is a ritual that must be honoured and with contemplation of each and every victim that you place within. I was a friend of Jammers, Bila Khalifa. Something like that. Also, death steals are an insanely rewarding way to get water, and we feel that the current design is in line with convenience given by the automated machinery. There is a core difference between Fremen technology and Chome technology, and corpses are not compatible with the circuit system. Fair. I think it's very fair and very valid. How do you plan on fixing the PvP balance at the moment? Surely the scout shouldn't be offensive capabilities as a balance. Again, I'm going to ignore this because this has already been talked about already in the upcoming changes. What plans do you have for the endgame content concerning PvE, the beginning of the game, up to the deep desert? It's absolutely amazing. I certainly hope PvE eats good going forward. They've already said, I believe, and they probably have it in here somewhere, potentially, because it's an answering question. Oh, down here. Okay, so they've said, you might want to check out these responses. It's basically just saying that, yes, it will be added with DLC, basically. Will you add an option for duels? Yes, we are planning to add the possibility to duel. That's pretty cool. Right now, it seems that the game is heavily tied to vehicle movement. As someone who wants to be a desert wanderer, relying heavily on walking the desert, are there any plans to add something like sand walking? Really enjoying the game. We will do walking without rhythm. Nice. That'll be cool. That'll be good to see. I think we need that. I'm very, very excited for like the Fremen update that will come at some point soon, I'm sure. Please, can we have a door tall enough so that the buggy with a mining laser can go through it? My poor buggy is left outside under a bit of a roof most of the time. I'm not a huge fan of the aesthetics that Pentashields offer for a base. Probably a minority here. Fair. I was like, bro, the Pentashields can be pretty much any size. But if that's why, I understand that. We don't have that on the roadmap currently, but it is a good idea. We'll see what we can do. Why isn't the final trial instance like all the rest? It results in a queue of players lining up, dying of thirst. Players are then pushed to rush through a big story beat so that their peers can get in. I didn't know it was one. I remember 2FPS saying about it when we were both queuing up for it. But that's crazy that you've got to wait. That's insane. I didn't realize that, to be fair. Mostly due to technical and time limitations. We fully understand that this is not optimal. We will look at improving this in the future. It's going to cause quite a bung up of players there, I think. Quite a queue. That makes sense. Are there any plans for procedural /radiant contracts at the outpost boards? It's not in our plans right now, but we're always looking at viable options to add to the game, as long as it fits within Dune. Curious if there will be boss fights, or raids, or dungeons, or any activities like that. By the way, the game is fantastic. You've done such an incredible job. We'll continue to evolve our PvE content, including adding boss encounters as part of the future dungeons. That's pretty sick. Thanks, glad you liked it. Can you add deposit all water option? Thank you. Please release more color options and swatches. Also labels. Absolutely, and I'm glad to tell you that deposit all water option is coming. Did they say anything about the other ones? No. Damn it. Will there be a roadmap published soon like other games such as Satisfactory or Valheim? What kind of quality of life plans will there be? Will there be other decoration /building packs released soon? Yes, we intend to keep you in the loop of what's coming. and we'll share our mid to long-term plans soon. However, they may not take the form of a static roadmap asset. That's fair enough. Things are going to change over time, aren't they? Right now, respecking seems to remove your starting skill, but does not refund the skill point. So if you respec at level 150, you only get 149 skill points back. I didn't know that. Interesting. I know many players have reported this bug, but it has not been added to the known issues on Discord yet, as far as I can see. Issues. Should we be encouraging new players to report issues such as this added to the known issues? Definitely a bug. It will be fixed in an upcoming patch. Great question. There's another answer from it. Great question. The list of known issues is not exhaustive, and does not capture every bug. We focus on the most common and impactful issues and update the list regularly. Regardless of whether a bug is on the list, we encourage players to report them. Bug reports provide valuable information that our QA teams use to fix issues and help us determine how many players might be affected. We'll be adding daily and weekly quests on a mission board at the training posts and at the faction representatives. There are currently no plans to add this to the mission boards, but we'll consider it for the future. Landsrad does offer weekly tasks that have personal rewards to it. We have some content in the pipeline that might offer some more repeatable quests. Oh my god. Oh my god. A big one. Jesus Christ. Okay. Funcom, you're correct. Creative director recently had an interview with Carnage and talked about how difficult it can be to make games because you have to make thousands of decisions, and in the end, hoping they were the right ones. So one would expect that the bigger game decisions are much addictive, immersive PvE survival crafting game doing the Dune universe justice. Had someone complain about my base. Oh my god. Oh, because of the doors? I'm not surprised. I knew that was going to come at some point. Even though you've got access to everyone. I'm not surprised. Yeah, sorry. Doing universe justice. You do everything right. Then instead of making a whole other endgame PvE zone like Deep Desert with raid bosses, dungeons, world events, handcrafted POIs, and additional desert environmental dangers, you make it focused on a PvP only zone. I mean, you're basically designing the end game as if you want 90% of the player base to abandon the game. Did you intend for the end game to be designed for the extreme niche hardcore PvP minority, or were you actually hoping that you'd get a lot of PvE players to join in and learn to like and enjoy PvP too? Is your actual plan to add a deep desert-like zone for PvE, with world bosses, events, raid bosses, dungeons, POIs, etc. down the line? I'm actually hopeful for the future of Dune Awakening. Why? Because I refuse to believe that in such a long... Okay, sure, whatever, that's fine. There's no more questions than that. I appreciate the wording and tone of this compared to some of the other questions about this that were made in one... Wait. One of the decisions that were made is one that you disagree with doesn't mean it's a wrong one. The fact that people continually talk... Okay. Posture check. The fact that people continue to talk about the end game and never mention the Landsrad, but are exclusively focused on the Deep Desert, is an indicator to me that we have failed to convey the importance of the system to PvE players. We will add more to refine this. But every person who plays our game is a PvE player because 90% of the game is PvE. And then the people who want to engage in Deep Desert are the people who enjoy both PvE and PvP. But here is the other things that will either make you happy or unhappy. We'll continue to add PvE content to the game. PvE content is expensive to produce and takes time. But as you have correctly stated, we know how to do it well. So it will continue to be added and progression will be added to those areas accordingly. Whereas the Deep Desert will always be the endgame PvP space, it will always be a loop while the PvE elements of the game continue to expand, and in a few years the overland map might be dotted with dozens of points of interest to explore. The Deep Desert will still be there, with the storms, the scouting loop, and the entire vision of what it is. It will be tweaked but will remain the PvP space for the game. There is a balance between them and it will always be something we work on. Cool. I think that's fair. There's not much. They're not going to change the whole thing to make the whole Deep Desert PvE, but they have added a PvE section to it, which is fair enough. Are there plans for map expansion? Not saying there's an issue with the map size. The map is quite big, but was purely curious if there was going to be any future map expand. We have many plans to expand the game with additional maps in the future, and the Overland map is one of our vehicles to do so. The Dune universe has a lot of interesting locations and worlds to explore. We're looking forward to continuing to build on top of the foundations we have. Awesome. I think we knew that from DLC, realistically. Is there going to be a PvE only option for people to farm endgame? Yes, there is. I'm going to skip that because yes, there is. That's been added. It's going to be added in the upcoming update. When will you add PvE version of the... Okay, going to skip that. When will they give more options for solo players in the deep desert? Okay, going to skip that because that's the exact same thing. They've added a PvE area. A lot of these might be the exact same. How difficult was it to balance the alternative timeline you created with the books, and how did that influence some decisions in the game and the story moving forward? Only 25-ish hours in, and it's one of the best survival games I've played in a while. It wasn't particularly difficult once we had figured out the alternate timeline. At this point, it was mostly a matter of extrapolating out from the core ideas. The rules of the universe remain the same, so elements like Dew Reapers and Sandworms or Spice could easily be built out from that descriptions in the book. It was all very concrete. The storyline was where we had more freedom to play, but luckily Frank Herbert provided a lot of threads with the concept of the Golden Path of the Bene Gesserit breeding program. For us, it was a lot of fun to try and imitate the beats of Herbert's stories, but with a different set of characters and a different set of objectives, but with the same ultimate destination. Frank Herbert was a master in hinting at a lot while saying very little, and our pleasure was in expanding things out based on his teasers, being a lot of fun. Wow, brutal. What a way to start. Landsrat is broken. Tiles being claimed within seconds of going live. Worlds are dominated by large guilds and heavily one-sided on the faction front. No room to even compete. You're left with defecting or just plain quitting. It should be overhauled in my opinion. Control points are scored unrealistically low. Would take days of camping to win a slot. Meanwhile, a mass handoff clears it in no time. Mechanically unbalanced. Dominated by Zerg guilds, leaving no room for solo players, /small guilds, or even large guilds on your own side with the lower platter base to contribute. This leaves players disengaging with the system and it sucks the fun out. My question, are you going to fix it? We will continue to look at the Landsrad and balance things out as we go forward. There are multiple activities beyond handing in resources that require people to do things that cannot be stockpiled. We'll continue to add activities. On servers that are heavily dominated by a single faction, balancing features will begin to kick in, but it has only been 2 weeks, so give this some time to get to work. Finally, the third faction will change the entire dynamic when it comes to online, so we'll see how that goes. Interesting, I guess we will. Since the game has been gone live, Funcom has offered various building pieces, murals, and other cosmetics through tie-ins such as purchasing a $35 box from a US-only gamer supplements company for a single piece of base decor, or giving Twitch streamers multiple gift subscriptions for an in-game social outfit. Given the increasing real-world money costs and inconvenience of getting some of these items in-game, does Funcom have any plans to make these assets available to players via other means at some point? We'll look into adding them in the future, but not in the short term. Makes sense, you can't exactly add paid things to people that have paid it and then give them for free completely. I mean, I understand if they want to add them later in the game, but I think definitely right at the start, it's not really fair to people that have actually spent their money on the stuff. I do agree in a sense, is like, yeah, a lot of these things are starting to add up to a lot of money if you want to get every single thing. But realistically, it doesn't give you an advantage, which is the main thing in the game. I do understand a lot of these things look cool, but, you know, doesn't give you an advantage, right? Are there any plans for new tools like an elevator? This gives... I don't think so. I think someone mentioned this in a Q&A somewhere else, to be fair. This gives us the freedom to build anywhere and enables the buggy and bike to be up there. House buffs, bosses, maybe raid bosses, expanding the map, new biomes, transport possibilities, where you can choose a set of storage boxes to where to transport them. Second base with a transport heli that does it for you, more weapons, buffs, etc. We had plans for suspensor elevators in the Rift to allow people to quickly get out of it with ground vehicles, but had to cut the feature from the launch scope. I'll check with the building team to see if this is something we can add to player base in the future update. Interesting. I believe they did talk about this in another Q&A and they said no, but that's interesting that they kind of were planning to do that for the Hagar Rift and changed it because it's out of their spec, but maybe something we'll see in the future. You never know. As of right now, backing up as much as possible and starting all over again after taking a break seems really tedious and discouraging. Pretty much killing the interest in progressing at all in fear of losing too much. Do you have plans to improve the comeback after a break mechanic for solo players while keeping the needed space cleaning mechanics? The game as of now supports you taking a break for almost 4 weeks. I think that's fair. That's a long time, to be fair. If you fuel your base fully with a high tier generator and before your base gets empowered for having defaulted on your taxes. For the future, we'll also be looking at adding mechanics to support easy recovery for taking an extended break. I think it's hard. You can only go so far with this because most games don't have that, right? You play Ark. You play Rust. You come back after 2 days, your base could be wiped. Obviously, there's different mechanics in the game, but I think 4 weeks is pretty generous, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, just pop on every once in a bit, mine some fuel cells, and then hop off for a bit. Like, it's not going to take long to keep it active for another 4 weeks, realistically. I think I've done maybe a resource gathering thing for a little bit for an hour or so, and I've got enough for all the generators in the base. So, like, realistically, I don't think it's a big issue, but so obviously some people are going to have an issue with that. But it's not a game like Siege where you just go back to it any time and nothing's really changed except from some updates, right? Is there a plan to improve the current circuit system for storage containers? Please, please, please. Oh my god. I'm making a video on this and it doesn't make any sense to me. Some of this stuff. Some of it does make sense, but generally not make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense in the game. Having water circuits to split water consumption and also being able to have a public water deposit where strangers could take a sip without emptying my tanks. Having filters over circuits for containers. Right now, I have all my refineries output set to circuit 2, but I'd like to have a container per item instead of only machine type. We can certainly look into this. Good. I'm glad. Is the third faction come to the game? What? Blah, blah. Oh, keep the balance between... Is it going to be House Carina? Okay. No, I'm pretty sure it's a Fremen one, to be fair. But that is coming, but just later down the line. Spencer elevators, when? Likely to happen. Okay, that's good. Do you plan to enable character transfer to a different server / Siege, mainly of skip the main story and keep the level? Between Sieges coming soon, i.e. full visiting with building rights. Ooh, okay, interesting. Between worlds will likely be possible in the future, but on the short term. That's big news. That's great news for people who want to join new guilds and are stuck on a server and they're like, I can't join you because I've done all this progress and I don't want to leave it behind. That's amazing. That's great for our guild. Definitely. 2 things can make it easier to reach the bank and player sailboards without having to travel. Wait, can you make it easier to reach the bank and player sailboards without having to travel all the way to the location? And 2, will there be some type of vehicle insurance or adjustments to rebuilding without going through the extreme process of rebuilding? Thank you. Awesome game so far. Long live the fighters. We will look into adding some additional convenience to these features, but it is important for us to have the certain features that require you to travel to the social areas / cities. I agree. I think it is key. I know it's a long journey, but realistically, like, you got to have some reason to be there. And, like, the more reasons for it makes it more worth traveling there, right? As for vehicle insurance, we don't want losing your vehicle to be a catastrophic setback, so we are looking into ways to ease the loss in specific situations. Getting eaten by a sandworm will always come with a hefty cost, though, definitely. We want to send players to the social hubs, but we're considering ways to make it more accessible still. As for dealing with vehicles lost, we're considering several ways to make this more manageable. Okay, interesting. That's just repeating the other question ahead of it, basically. Do you have any plans to make endgame more friendly for solo and small group PvE players? Interesting. A bit local. Okay, I think they've already said that in the upcoming changes. That yeah, PvE area in the deep desert, that's coming. Any plans to remove the sand from the game? It is coarse and rough and gets everywhere. Maybe we'll add a map without sand in the future for you, Anakin. Nice. Can we expect further improvements to the social aspect of the game? As it stands right now, outside of doing PvP, there isn't much of an incentive to interact with other players or talk to them. I'd love to see more emotes, costumes, towns and cities and social elements being added to the further immerse yourself in the world and hopefully by extension encourage others to do the same. I kind of disagree with this. This is the whole point in the social hubs, right? I have gone so many times, people just chatting, hearing people talk. I've got up and just started chatting to them. This happens so much. People use emotes in there. It's so funny. Some of the social hubs, I go into and hear people chatting and the conversations they're having. It's jokes. I think there's a lot. I would love to see more emotes, but I don't think there's a lack of it. I would say. For sure, we'll keep adding and evolving our social features in the game. There are more emotes, costumes on the way, and we'll keep evolving an existing social hubs with additional content and reasons to go there. Amazing. Amazing. Did they answer this somewhere? Because it's in the answered area. What did they say? Is there any plans for PvE players to be able to progress tier 6? Yes, they've just done that now in the upcoming changes. It's going to be soon. What are your thoughts on adding missions that involve raiding low traveling spice ships / freighters or Sardaukar ships mid-flight? Imagine dropping off your pals onto the hull to breach them whilst a few of the others fend off the enemy escorts. Fend off the other enemies. Gotta get in and get out quickly. Too long and the captain may call for reinforcements or scuttle the ship, etc. If we let you raid a Sardaukar ship with an actual Sardaukar instead of those terrible Cho mercs they keep hiring, you'll be killed. Interesting idea, though. We'll keep it in mind. Yeah, Sardaukar's supposed to be OP, man. We need to see more of that. What's been the biggest surprise following the release of the game? We know that we had a good game, but we're still overwhelmed by how positive the reception has been. Also, we see that players have long play sessions, which is great. Oh, it's great fun. I've been enjoying the game so much. Do you plan on adding farming-ish features, like some grow house we can see in experimental stations to grow some fibers, etc.? Maybe one day, not in the near future. Will Sandwalk become a feature? It's something we did explore during development, but it was a tricky feature to find the fun in. It also did not make sense to add it, since this is something you would learn from the Fremen. We'll consider it again for the future, I'm sure. They did say they're going to do it in the future for the Fremen update. In an interview they mentioned. They did say that, so that is confirmed for a later date, definitely. Are there any plans to increase rendering distance for vehicles in the deep desert? Vehicles pop in and out 500 meters, which makes it very difficult to react in time. We're hearing that is something we are actively investigating internally. Cool. Good to know. Are you planning to add a faction chat? It would be nice to coordinate with another guild in the same faction on the same server. Maybe allow only guild leaders to post a message there. This is something we will look into. Cool. Would be fun. Will you ever implement a mini-map overlay so I can navigate easier while driving? I'm finding that I open and close my map screen repeatedly while trying to dodge quicksand, etc. No, we actually had one for a while and I asked the team to remove it. Mini-maps draw the eye away from the world and distract from the experience. I fully agree. I fully agree on this statement. I fully agree. I hate mini-maps in the corner. I want them gone. Let me explore and let me just, if I want a map, I'll press the map on. Don't give me a mini-map. I like this. I'm glad. Instead, it moved the design to a more intentional focus on the world element, scanning to have resources show in 3D space or hazards like quicksand. Be something that you plan your route around. Vehicle scanners will be your friend when dodging quicksand, but also just learning to recognize it visually will be of great help. I agree. I've learned to recognize it. I don't need to check the map for quicksand. I'll just see it. I'm like, okay, I'm not going in that. Can we get a top-down building view? There are currently no plans to add this. Yeah, I don't know if you need a top-down building view, to be fair. It's not really necessary, I don't think. Will hostile PvE animals types be added to the game to give us a mix of potential threats out in the world? I'm not clued up in the lore, but fighting something other than a humanoid would be really cool. Fair enough. I mean, there is potential stuff they could add, but we're considering more enemy types long term. I think they can't do too many animals because then it will just take away from it being Arrakis, but, never know. Final comment on the case of building bases to block off ground roads between resource areas. Familius Gap, quest areas, entrances, etc. would be nice. To which extents is it supposed to be allowed? When should it be reported? When not? Will quest-related build forbidden areas be expanded or not, etc.? This one is hard to tackle in a way that makes everyone happy. There is limited amount of buildable space in the game, so we don't want to add building blockers all over the map. We do want to make sure you can access content and points of interest that are uniques or required for progression. So we have tried to ensure there is always a viable path to get to a trade posts, faction bases, and story content locations. If we miss anything obvious, let us know. Could you consider adding a hotkey to change seats in vehicles? The process for changing the driver's seat to buggy cutter is currently tedious and time-consuming. Thanks, blah, blah. Changing seats on a hotkey will be added to one of the first patches to the game. So, yeah, so we'll see it coming either July or August. Oh, my God. That would be amazing. That would be so good when solo mining. Amazing to hear. Do you plan on releasing some kind of roadmap? It'd be nice to know what we can look forward to. Yes, we plan to clearly communicate our plans so everyone knows what to expect, but these plans may not necessarily take the form of a static roadmap. More info coming soon. Will we have dual daggers soon, or the arrival of a dual crysknife? We will add some form of dual welding, but it will not be possible to mix and match weapons. Fair enough. 2 questions. The building tiles are great for cubes, but the triangles lack the ability to fill gaps in basic turns, and the roof tiles can only have an inside radius. We'll be expanding building tiles to enable more diversity in the structures. The quests have been a lot of fun as well, and the lore has so much room for exploration. Will you be adding missions and PvE story content on a regular basis for updates? I think they said that. For number 1, we don't have any concrete plans on expanding individual buildings and sets, but we continuously assessing needs to improvements. Number 2, we will definitely add more contracts and PvE story content as the game goes along, basically. Did they answer this? Yes, they did. Can you improve the feeling of cities and outposts in the game to be meeting hubs of sorts? Right now, I keep running into issues of not being able to see my friends in Arakin or Harko village because they're in different instance than me despite us being together in a group. It defeats the purpose of those cities being anything more than interactive quest hubs and a loading screen. I'd also love to see the ability to toggle walk in cities and outposts like ammo so we can walk around immersively within them. It'd be rare that you don't see your friends because they're in a different instance, as long as you're in the same world. We'll definitely make it possible to toggle walk in cities and outposts. Amazing. Great. I'm so happy for this, especially the first one because... No, not the first one. Sorry. Ignore the first one. That is a thing already. Like, this, I have not had an instance where I've not seen a friend that's been at the same place as me. In the cities and stuff. I don't know what they're facing, but I've never had that. And that's cool that you can toggle walk cities, a bit more role playing stuff. It's kind of fun. Will there be more additions to the build menu, such as half floor pieces? Basically, real quick, short time. We'll add more building sets over time. Fair enough. Was curious, is there an ETA on the time we wait for the content not being delivered in the Ultimate and Deluxe upgrades to be fixed on folks' accounts? Many of us are missing licenses in Steam, from cosmetics to the wildlife of Arrakis. Interesting. Steam refuses to let you get a refund if you played 2 hours with the DLC installed. I know many are sad that there are only 4 statues for wildlife of Arrakis, but I was looking forward to using them in the community, but in a community base. Again, it isn't that we don't know where it is, but we were never given the license associated with content we purchased, specifically the season pass, having no wildlife of Arrakis license being associated with it. Basically, upgrades are not providing everyone with every license we purchase, so I have the season pass license, but not the wildlife of Arrakis license. There are many of us who are in this boat. Second question on this, do they plan to expand the wildlife of Arrakis to include some more statues or plants, or are there 4 statues for the final product of that one, and more just a small thing to give people something for buying the season pass? I would agree. I would like to see some more stuff in the DLC. It does seem very lackluster. Like, only a few statues. I understand there's not much wildlife at Arrakis, so maybe they did us dirty on that and was like, well, to be fair, there's not much wildlife at Arrakis, so you know what you're signing up for. But, you know, maybe that's our own fault. But I think it should be added more to it. I know we had an issue when we first launched due to a setup error in the Steam backend. But that should be resolved. Let me follow up on this and I'll get an update and have community communicate what the plans are. You should have everything you paid for, so we'll get that fixed as soon as possible. Okay, so it doesn't sound like they're saying anything more on the DLC for that, which is a shame. My guildies and I would like to know why I can't all travel into the deep desert inside one assault ornithopter. We'll be implementing a change to solve this. It's currently like this for technical reasons, but we're looking into addressing this. Good to know. Good to know. Recently created a massive base for my guild and any new guild recruits, so we can utilize differing circuits for storage and such. I'm not able to do this with the water. We've been struggling with keeping up water as such needed resource. Will water ever be split in circuits? I think it needs to be in some format. Definitely, I agree. I think it does need to happen. And then we'll look into it. Okay. Players are starting to grief other... Oh my god, we need to have a drink real quick. Holy... Players are starting to grief other players by building bases that purposely block avenues and routes in the game world. I've sent a number of reports to customer support, and there is a number of Reddit users sharing the same pain of players who are griefing others through placement of bases that prohibit gameplay. Blah, blah, they got a post of it. We always have at least one no building zone path to important points of interest like trade post bases, story areas. It may be inconvenient, but you should always be able to go where you need to. Are there any plans to implement a way to change how your character looks? Essentially, accessing the character customization through some sort of cosmetic surgeon paid with Solari. Yes, this will be added in a future update. The team is already working on it, so expect some news on it soon when we start discussing our post-launch content releases. Will Siege transfers be... Oh, they said this earlier. We've gone through this one. Real quick, we'll go for this one, though. Do you have any plans to improve accessibility to the player marketplace? Yes, we'll continuously improving the user experience of our features, including the exchange. In our next big patch, we'll be adding the option to sell items directly from your vehicle storage from the vehicle you arrived into the social hub with. Okay, cool, nice. The visiting feature will be updated in an upcoming patch. You essentially have all the building permissions when visiting other features in your world. Regarding the exchange, we certainly want to make it more convenient for players to use, but we don't want to eliminate the need to travel to social hubs. Okay, that makes sense as well. Are you going to stress solo players losing their entire base if they can't play more than 25 days in official servers? I don't think it's that big of a thing. Think about other games. Think about other survival games. I know there's a bit of a different survival. It's like a zone survival game, like a survival RPG sandbox type-esque game. sandbox in the quite literal meaning of sand. But I don't think that's a big thing. And they're not planning to change how this works currently. I think it's very fair how it works in the moment. Any plans to add a trade board in the trade post? Not a trade terminal, but something for people can scroll through and see what's for sale. This would help players find what they want for players while keeping the need to go to social shops. I'm going to ignore the other things because they weren't answered. It's just about the stuff we've already said before. Is there going to be any kind of in-game store for cosmetic items? No, we don't have any currently. Have any plans to add an in-game store to sell cosmetic items? Any plans to address a storage system using weight and volume in the storage cases appears to be unnecessary. Generally cannot fill cases due to the weight restrictions. There are no plans to change the volume and slot approach. It gives us to levers the balance this type of logistics instead of just one. 2 levers, sorry. I think they meant to put, yeah. Fair enough. What is stopping you from allowing us to host our own servers? I don't understand what is locked behind rental service. Our server architecture is complex and we don't have a simple way to package it for players right now. In addition, releasing the server's binaries make it much easier for hackers/cheaters to exploit vulnerabilities. We will need to fix both of these problems before we can have players on non-partners hosting a server. Makes sense? It also requires a lot of hardware to run all the maps at the same time. If our map was like Conan Exiles, we would have launch with a standalone version. But right now, it would be a small amount of people that have the ability to set up, operate, and have enough hardware to run the servers. Makes sense. I can imagine it being a big pain in the ass and a lot of requirements for it, to be fair. Will you be doing any sort of server merges? Blah, blah. They said that. Update. Oh, they've changed. Okay, said some slightly stuff different to what they said earlier, I think. Will you be doing any sort of server merges for super low population servers? Not merges, but will in future update allow players to freely move between sietches in the same world. For the longer term, we do have plans to address low population servers. Okay. What is the updating schedule looking like for faction and story quests? We're working on story quests for the next chapters of Book 1, which is included as free content in the base game. Will those be tied to DLCs, or we'll have to finish the main story without further purchases? As for factions, we're planning to add a third faction, but we're not ready to talk about it officially yet. Okay, we're near the end. We're getting near the end. Can you please add search all containers by item name, show matching containers with some X-ray vision, deposit all water and deposit all blood buttons, save our fingers, confirmation dialogue when trying to unequip Chris knives to move... Wait, let me just go through their stuff, because we can answer it one by one on their answers here. Search for containers. Search is coming in a future update. No plans for X-ray vision to show matching containers. Deposit all water/blood. Your fingers will be happy to hear that this is coming in a future update. Confirmation dialogue when trying to unequip Chris knife or move to a storage. A sad pain point with Zentaro's Chris knife breaking from 100 to 0. Being able to move your Chris knife to a storage chest is not intentional and it will be removed in an update. Quick unload button works like the quick deposit, but in reverse. E.g., if buggy is in your base, then it moves content of buggy to containers that already have those types of items. Even nice if you can select items to not unload before pressing. So, for example, I always want to keep a welding torch, a fuel cell, and a welding wire on my buggy. Noted, and we'll consider something like this for a future update. Cool. More story, please. And may I say less cheesy stuff like random explosions. Why the heck did that place explode in the last quest? Oh, that's funny. I thought someone might mention that. Keep it real and grounded. It's what makes the universe so good, in my opinion. Absolutely. This is in the plans. Absolutely. As in, keep it more grounded. Fair enough. Viable ground PvP. Will we continuously balance... We will continuously balance PvP and keep ensuring that both ground and airborne PvP is viable options for fun PvP gameplay. Viable solo gameplay in Deep Desert. No plans for this at the moment. Deep Desert is meant to be a group activity. We'll keep adding more solo gameplay to the game in the future, though. Okay, wow. Will there be more story content for Dune? Absolutely. Fairly easy to go through. It's pretty obvious people are unhappy with the Deep Desert. Yeah, they're finding plans. They've got that already sorted, basically. Just upcoming patch notes or upcoming notes. I've made a video on it. Go check it out. Go check it out. Would it be possible to have one extra shipwreck that is PvE only, so we don't have to farm just the one in the Hagar Basin South? It would be great to have one on Vermilion, on that big central rock mass, even if it's higher, even if it's with higher level mobs inside. We're not planning to add more shipwrecks in South Hagar Basin or into, I think, the other areas. If they do, they want to make them PvP, right? Will there be a minimap instead of a wind fane at the top? Oh, okay. We're not planning to add a minimap. Yes, thank God. I'm glad. I'm glad. About building, is there any plans to add a build all button or a mass build when you select more building holograms? We're currently not planning to add a build all button. This would invalidate the co-op aspect of base building. It would. It would, absolutely, I agree. Will there be more building assets and cosmetics in general added to the game? Would love a custom sign created for public spaces in our base. We have a lot in the pipeline, including new building pieces, cosmetics, and much more. Why make Deep Desert PvP exclusive? That's fine. They've already answered that. They've got a PvE area now or coming up soon. What are you going to do? Handle losing your ornithopter when you disconnect or die in the deep desert? I've seen players lose it on the world map. This will come in multiple stages. We don't want you to lose your vehicles if you crash or disconnect from the game. In the next hotfix, we have made some improvements so that you would have time to connect and get back in your vehicle. Interesting. In a future patch, we'll look into other ways to decrease the overall setback when losing a vehicle. We don't want this to be a catastrophic loss, especially for solo players. That makes sense. That makes sense indeed. That's fair. Okay. One thing I've not seen is anything addressing these large guilds of people who simply stack guilds and run ops in Discord. Maybe I'm blind, maybe I'm not, but somehow, what do you do to intend to address these zergs, as they're called? 50 people attacking you in a deep desert. We monitor the stats. Oh, being ganged up on by 10 to 50 people. Damn. We monitor the stats on this, and I don't recall seeing many instances of this scenario happening. The game is still pretty new to the deep desert, generally isn't populated with enough people for this to be happening. Zergs do happen though, but they are pretty rare across all worlds. If you're talking about getting ganged up on by a group of people when you are solo, that certainly happens, and we want to make sure that solo and small groups have a way to participate in the deep desert. Really small details. Oh, they added the PvE area for solo players, easier. I know I probably missed this in an update or another Q&A, but are there plans for different kind of builds? We'll add more new architects / trainers. Builds. Oh, I thought they meant building stuff. Currently available. I love playing like stealthy assassin characters, so something that can sneak around and backstab would be fun, or even like a tank / a support option too. We'll add new architecture types / trainers in the future, and we'll start development on the first one soon. It's too early to go into detail on it though. That's cool. That's very interesting. What are the plans to allow us to move to a siege? They've already said that. When do we get to the next part of the storyline? I loved it, but it's sort of a cliffhanger. You can blame me for the cliffhanger. I forced Joel to cut the last third of the storyline so we'd actually launch the game. Act 3 will be released over the next year with new content added for free each time we release a DLC. Cool, good to know. My character is level 90, but I want to move siege. Currently supporting we support you visiting other sieges, your current world, and expand on that feature pretty soon. Yeah, blah, blah. They've answered that already. Will you add a feature to deposit lithodrons into water system all at once? Oh my god, please, please, please. We'll get this added to the game, but we didn't have time to include it in the first post-launch patch. It's on our quality of life improvements list, so it will come. And finally, are you planning to add a clock that shows time on Arrakis to the interface or in some menus? You can check the time of day by pressing T in the game. You can indeed. Are there any plans to make vehicles take environmental damage from falling or crashing? I felt like this is an incredible immersion-breaking aspect to the game. Wait, are the plans to make vehicle take... Oh, right. I don't want to add this because I love just driving into Hagar Rift. We did try a more realistic system in the past, but the feedback was that it wasn't fun, so we currently have no plans for this. Yes! I'm glad we get to ram our vehicles off cliffs and stuff. It's good fun. I enjoy that. And that is all the questions in the Dune Awakening Q&A. At least trying not to repeat any of the ones we've answered before in this list anyway. So I hope you guys did enjoy. It's a very short stream, just an hour stream, because I've been talking non-stop for the whole hour. I guess a bit more, again, a bit like a normal stream, right? But just talking way more and trying to get as much information out as possible. It's going to call the stream here because I want to try and play a little bit of Dune Awakening without streaming it and see what's going on. And obviously I've just released my recent Dune Awakening video about the upcoming changes, so feel free to check that out in the meantime. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed the stream, and I hope to see you in the next live stream on Wednesday or Friday, and some new Dune videos coming soon on how-tos, where to find different resources, etc, coming soon. Have a good one. Peace.